Abdul El Sayed won the Michigan primary last night for senator to Congress. So he won the national primary last night against Stevens, the other candidate. Now, this is incredibly interesting for a lot of reasons. One, Abdul El Sayed will become the first, if he wins the general election, he will become the first Muslim senator in American history. And he will potentially be the most progressive senator to ever set foot in the Capitol, potentially. I'm looking into the 1920s, but I don't think I've seen one yet. This is very interesting for a lot of reasons. One, it adds a little bit extra tenseness to the midterms. Normally in an off-year election, so in the years right after a general presidential election, the party that won the presidential election normally then loses the Senate and the House because, people don't like what's going on. They're like, okay, we're going to vote the new party in. This is normal. It's been happening for election cycle after election cycle. What this does, this adds an interesting thing. Abdul El Sayed, while endorsed by a lot of the Democrat Party, his opponent was also. In addition, Abdul El Sayed could be considered too progressive to be elected, potentially throwing Michigan up to the Republicans. However, this could also swing the other way as saying normal Democrat mainstream establishment has not had success recently, and so you're going to have more Republican voters potentially switch over to this progressive candidate, or more independent voters switch over to see what is it going to be like. We're going to get a new set of eyes. We're going to get a new policy inside the government. We're going to have a new disruptor in the government. Someone who has more of a more drive to change things. So this could go either way in this Senate race. But the biggest takeout from this is the Senate is still up for grabs. I would say that due to this win, you're going to have more independent voters potentially swaying either way because Abdul El Sayed is more of an extreme, but also Michigan is a Democratic state. So you're going to have this swing going on, potentially either gaining a seat for the Republicans or adding this new figure into the Senate. This also raises the speculation of, finally, what people have been saying for years, a potential third party entering national politics. Due to some Democrats endorsing Abdul El Sayed's opposer in the primary race, you could potentially see some Democrat and Democrat Socialists, the DSA, potentially split away and begin a new third party. Because if Abdul El Sayed wins, it would potentially give them legitimacy in their claims of their party, of what they are speaking for. I think you could potentially see Bernie Sanders join this group. I think you would see a couple of House members join this group, such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think you would have had. I could see Kamala running under either the Democrat or the DSA. You would definitely have Zoran Mamdani join this group. You would definitely have some bigger names join this group, and you could potentially see a third party in American politics. You would have the Republican Party. You would have the Democrat Party, which would be considered more, it would be a progressive party, but then you would also have the Democrat Socialists of America, which would be the even more progressive party. This is a party that would potentially be playing towards more of the younger generation. This group has shown more popularity with younger voters, while the Democrat Party has still shown that popularity with older voters and even black voters. That was a very interesting thing, was that Abdul El Sayed did not win, at least from what I've read, did not win a significant portion of the black vote while in his Michigan primary, while his opponent did. All this to say is, I would say the Senate race is still up for grabs. While normally I would say it's still heavily in favor of the Democratic Party, you could potentially see a Republican Party swoop in. However, if Abdul El Sayed wins, I would definitely say the Senate is safely in Democrat hands, and you could potentially see a change and potentially a third party form in America. Also, you would also potentially see a change in policy and a change in votes, just due to him having a different set of beliefs than, I would say, normal establishment Democrat Party or even Republican Party. I would say he'd probably be one of the more extremes on either side of the aisle to enter Congress. I think a congressional session could get very interesting in the coming years. Again, this is all based on one thing: if he wins. I think this is going to be a very interesting and toss-up election. Just one, due to how close the primary was, and two, due to Michigan just, they do have independent voters, and it could potentially go either way, as some may say that Abdul El Sayed is too far too far left and they decide to swing their vote to the Republican, or we could have a lot of no votes and you could potentially see just a simple Republican majority or simple Democrat majority come out of this election. The Michigan election, I just think, is going to be a very interesting thing to monitor come election day. And yeah, if you want to keep updated on all of today's news, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and tell me your thoughts down in the comments section below.